this is sort of my midlife crisis, because I've always wanted to write, and I've always drawn for a living, and I've always worked in newspapers, and so I've always done editing and rewriting things for graphics and stuff like that. So also at the time I was on Twitter, and I had this thing, if you were a celebrity and tweeted me back, like I would tweet you, then I would draw your picture and I put it up on my website, artsprocket.com. And so in the process of doing this, a couple of the celebrities that contacted me were authors. One of them is Bill Sheft, who writes for David Letterman, you might have heard of him, and Kristen Johnston, who was on Third Rock from the Sun. And she liked her drawing so much she hired me to do a couple more drawings. And also was Zoe Sharp, who's a nice adventure author. But anyway, so I had originally a fantasy book that I was writing. I was only partway through it, and I had this thing of, am I really gonna succeed at this? I don't know. And so someone suggested, I want you to do a short story book first and see how that goes. And so I did, and then I thought, I could go the traditional path, but I'm already 55 years old. The earliest you can get one through the traditional publishing is maybe 3 years, if you're lucky, if everything goes well. And then I thought, 3 years, I'll be 58, and then my next book I'll be like 63, and I'm like, I'll die before I get all my books out that I want to write. So
stop doing the math.
Exactly, let's stop doing the math. So anyway, I just want to see if I could do it. This is more an experiment than anything else. So I wrote 10 stories for Plague of Dreams, and put them together, formatted it, put it up on Amazon just to see if mechanically I could do it. It was the real purpose. And I got a blurb from Kristen Johnson saying good things about it. And then it's very surprising that a lot of people really liked it. I got a lot of really nice reviews, and it didn't sell a huge amount because anthologies don't sell a lot, but it sold enough to make me think, oh, okay, I keep doing this. And so I did the next one, Splinter Dreams, which has better story. But then I took one, and again, and Asimov rears its ugly head again. This was a short story I resubmitted to Asimov a year ago, and it originally was a short story. And I really liked it. I thought it was really worth it to be in their magazine. And they have a cutoff time where they say, if you don't hear from us by 3 months, contact us and whatever. So I didn't hear from them by 3 months. I sent them a letter, didn't hear anything. And so finally it was like 4 months or whatever. So I said, fine. I said, okay, what's the deal? Are you gonna use this or what? And so they sent back and go, well, we've looked at your story and it's spaced 1.5 lines instead of 2 double spacing as we require. And I'm thinking, it's an electronic format. You can just change it. I don't understand it, but okay. So I thought, okay, so they never read it, is what it was. And they just rejected it because I asked them to, put up or shut up on the story. So I was mad for a minute, and then I thought, well, hell, you know what? I think it's a better novel than it's a short story. So that's what I did. So I expanded it by quite a bit, and this has really sold a lot. For me, I'm selling like about a book and a half a day now on this, which for me is a good thing. And because of this, and people are going back and reading my other books, so that's a good thing.
And you're doing your own covers and illustrations too?
Yeah, I do all my own covers and illustrations, and the reason why Roof is a little more expensive is I do an illustration for every chapter, and I wanted them to be in color.
Oh, wow.
So it makes it a little more expensive than the other books, but I thought, I can't see putting this in black and white. So anyway, so that's how that started, and it's really been a fun ride.
No, go ahead. It's entirely different.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to talk about it as just a abstract concept, because as we all know right now, there's a big battle between the Big Five publishing and people that are independent publishing. I happen to be fortunate to know Hugh Howey, who wrote the Wolf series. I don't know him like I have dinner with, but I mean, but I've talked to him a lot of times online. And he's with a friend is doing a lot of research on the actual stats that nobody will tell you. So I'm going to throw something out at you that you're going to find very surprising. The number is 98%. What that means is 98% of books submitted to the Big Five publishers are never published.
Agreed.
98% never see the light of day.
Kind of depressing.
And when you consider how huge science fiction, the general category has become, you think, oh my God.
Yeah, and even their top authors, they throttle them back time-wise. They say, you've already had a book this year, why don't you wait 6 months before you release your next book? So you're thinking your favorite author might have had 4 more books that you could have read, but have been prevented by the contract they have with the big 5 publishing. Now I'm not going to fall into one side and the other and say one's right or whatever. To me, it's not David Goliath, it's 2 Goliaths. I mean, they both are big and whatever. But as far as the thing that gets to me is the 98%. I would never have probably made it through the gauntlet before I was too old to appreciate it.
Yeah.
And then the other one is what I consider important is, I'm going to use it, call it the remote control. Now, when I grew up, you had 3 TV stations, and that was it. You didn't have a remote control. So if you didn't like what was on those 3 stations, you were screwed. That was pretty much what you had. That's all you had. And then I liken the big 5 as to the 3 TV stations. It's what they think should go on the shelves. And even their mid-list authors get screwed a lot of times because if their first book doesn't sell as well as they thought, then they'll yank them off the shelves. So they don't have a chance to still build a readership.
Yeah.
And then I liken what I'm doing with independent publishing is that it's like suddenly I got a remote and I got all the cable channels. I can read anything I want that is being independently published. Not all of it may be great, but you know what? Not all of it is great that comes out of the big 5.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you think about it. I find typos in big 5 books.
Oh yes, all the time.
All the time. So to me, it's like opening up, making it more democratic for people for readers to find what they want to read. And the problem is that with the big 5, it's like they want to tell readers what they can read. And to me, regardless of every other business thing you're looking at, to me that's the difference. And I also own all the rights to my book of everything. And so like when I got audiobooks done, I didn't have to get permission from somebody else to get audiobook. I just said, yes, I am the rights owner. And boom, right away I got audiobooks made. So it's the control is outrageously amazing. So that's all I have to say on that.
Family.
Well, one thing I was going to jump in there with, if I could, and besides just the nuts and bolts and the cost and everything, to me there's a spiritual part of becoming an author or a writer or something, is that you just have to get to the point where you decide, I'm going to do this. And it's amazing once you make that decision, I'm going to do this, how easier it is to get done. Because what can happen is you can have fits and starts, and because in your mind you haven't committed to yourself that that's what you're going to do. And so nothing ever happens until you say, I am going to do this. And then that's what I did with my first book. I said, I am going to do this. And I gave myself an artificial deadline. I didn't really have a real deadline. And I worked at it and I got it done. And I was like, oh wow, so that's how it works. And but what happens is a lot of times people will try to tell you how to write. They'll try to tell you what you need to be a good writer or whatever. But it's individual for every person. Some people can write 3 hours every day. Some people, like me, I'm inspiration based, so I won't write anything for a while, and all of a sudden I get inspiration, I'll sit down, I'll write a whole, story, because it's just like it's there, and that's where it is, and it percolates in my back mind. But anyway, my point is, the biggest thing is just just decide. If it's something you want to do, just do it. And it's great now, because with independent publishing, I couldn't have done it 20 years ago. I couldn't have decided I'm going to publish a book. I would have had to go through the big 5. You would have never seen me here at all. And that's what would have happened. And a lot of good books, not necessarily mine, but other people's books, wouldn't be open to everybody.
Something I was going to mention that she mentioned.
Jump in and all spouses behind
I had one thing I wanted to mention while we're talking about collaboration with people where you have friends or whatever. I joined a group called Dead Pixel Publications, and it's all just authors who they don't let everybody in, but they're kind of selective, but all the authors, and their job is to self-promote each other. So every time one of us has a book deal, then we'll promote the other one. And like, for example, we have one author who's called Robert Pavan, and he writes these humorous books about gaming. so you might enjoy them a lot.
Yeah.
And his characters got trapped in the game and they can't get out, and it's really very funny because some of the characters are like now they're forced to be a half orc, you know, and they have to act like a half orc, and including all the farts and all that kind of stuff. So it's that kind of level of thing.
Yeah.
But it's great for gamers. But and then we have other authors that are more romancy, and then we have, you know, more science fiction and stuff like that. So it's like this group, which is kind of like we're taking the place of what Big Five would have done, and then we're helping to cross promote each other's work. And it's really been an amazing ride for that. And I'm seeing in the future, I think, where we really don't need Big Five, and we really don't need Amazon. As long as you've got someone to distribute electronically, I don't see why we can't just have the authors be in control of what's going on.
Yeah, how do you go about promoting your books?
How's the lady in?
But you can answer anyway, so they can.
No, I'm listening. That's a good question. Go ahead.
Well, the way that we do it is, everybody doesn't really know for sure, but you promote a lot on Facebook. You try to get a lot of Facebook friends. A lot of people in my group that have events where they have like it's a free contest event day, and then what it is like during the day they'll have trivia questions, and whoever wins gets to pick one of any of the other Dead Pixel authors. And so if they have a kind of genre they like, they aren't stuck with just one kind of book. They say, oh, I want that book, you know, then you can get that. And then it generates interest for all of us. And then you see kind of a jump in sales after that, because people that don't normally follow you, but follow, say, another author.
Of course, my immediate reaction is I'm not on Facebook.
Reviews on, like, you other rest of you find reviews on Amazon or wherever that you go through. Do you feel that other reviews help your sales at all?
Well, I was going to say one funny story about, we were talking about 5 stars. When I first came out with Plague of Dreams, of course there are people that I know that read it, they'll give it 5 stars, but there are a lot of people I didn't know from Adam who gave it 5 stars. And in the beginning, all it had was 5 stars. And then when I was on Goodreads, because Goodreads is brutal to authors, and people kept commenting, oh, you're just paying people to give you 5 stars. So I'm going, I am not doing that. I said, that's not what I'm doing there. Well, because you only have 5 stars, you're full of crap, was basically what they're saying. So what I did is I put a thread and I said, please help my curve. Please give me less than 5 stars. And I put it on there. I said, I want you to give me an honest review, but you know, give me less than 5 stars or whatever. So what happened, which was hilarious, I did have 2 people that gave me 3 stars, but they were like the best reviews ever. If you read the reviews, they're going, well, you know, it isn't really my cup of tea, but what I really liked about it was blah, 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 blah. And so even though they're giving me 3 stars, they still kind of had to, you know, say something of what they liked or whatever. And I was just like, I'm going, okay, now he's probably not gonna like that, except I think I paid for that too. But what is funny to bring that up is you can get really good reviews on Amazon, and the same book can get worse reviews on Goodreads for a lot of various reasons. One is sometimes Goodreads are just very more critical. These are people that are really big book people or whatever. And sometimes Goodreads, people will do a thing where they will mark a book that they want to read later by giving it 1 star so they can come back to it. And, yeah, are we over time?
Not quite.
Okay, so that's a weird thing.
Just checking.
All right. So anyway, does that answer your question at all? Or?
Yeah, it was kind of.
Oh, as far as do reviews help?
Like, do reviews help like future sales that you know of? Or?
Yes, and that I believe that they do. And a lot of times I've had people who have bought the book and then review it themselves. They said a friend read this and really